Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Bullpen. Kev, we got a huge board. Why don't we get straight to it right now? Go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Raf. Today we're talking about the clean aesthetic of gold BJJ. They're phenomenal streetwear they've got. It's not just training gear, guys. You can get streetwear. Raf, are these all gold BJJ? All of these cards are gold BJJ?
Yep, just read the script like we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a variety of styles. They have a bag. It's phenomenal competition gear. You can bring it with. You can throw it in the wash. Raf, these are really cool. Are any of these for me? Like that bag?
No. They didn't have any stuff for you. They ran out of your
Well, they're
sizes.
really affordable if you need to go out there and get them. You can just get the stuff, goldbjj.com.
These shorts are awesome. I'm going to get this. Wait. Oh, this.
Do they have a second set for me? Is that a thing they have?
They were like, hey, man, we ran out of stuff, and they didn't have it in your size because like fat. You know what I mean? So, like, these are all for like me. Anyway, go visit our friends at goldbjj.com.
10,000 hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
Your BJJ game with inverted gear, where pandas and performance meet. Whether you train in a gi or prefer no gi, we have something for you. Our gear is built to last and designed to perform no flashy extras, just high-quality craftsmanship and minimal design. Plus, pandas. Don't miss our back-to-school sale going on now. Visit www.invertijar.com and roll with confidence panda style.
What's up, ladies and gents? It is your friendly neighborhood BJJ podcaster, RAF ESPARZA, coming to you with another live and great installment of the Bullpen, a joint venture between the Grappling Hour and Inside BJJ. I hope you guys are having a great weekend. I'm a little tired. Now, here's the thing. I don't get tired easily. And in fact, I think it's a testament to my ability to show up that I am both exhausted and yet we still have a great show for you. And I know the two other gentlemen on this show are, I'm not going to say tired, but I'm going to say unrested. And I'll start by throwing to my good co-pilot this weekend, a man who crushed it on the commentary and somebody who I had to rely on a lot this weekend. And that's one, Tim Freeman. Tim, how are you doing, sir?
What's going on, man? I'm doing fantastic. I'm a little tired myself, but I'm optimistic about getting through the week. I got a short week. I got Friday off, so I think I can pull it out of the hat here and make it happen, man. It's great to be back with you. It's good to see you again, Kevin. Got a great show lined up.
Great. Kevin, you also were very busy this weekend. You were cornering in the UFC. What does it feel like to be a winning coach, sir?
Man, it's pretty cool. I don't know how many coaches have gotten a corner in the UFC, corner on a main card, and have their fighter win with a performance of the night with a ninja choke. I think there's been less than 10 in the UFC ever. It was really cool. It was a singular experience. It was one of the most epic, especially 4 days. No, we'll talk about it.
I mean, we're going to get to that as one of the bullet points of the show, but full disclosure, Tim and I were in the middle of doing stuff, and I look down and I go, oh, it looks like things went well for Kevin. And he goes, how well? And I go, well, I just, in looking at it, I was like, is that a 10 finger? I was like, what is it? I go, I'll have to look at it later. But when you're kind of eyeballing and you go, if I can't tell what it is, it's going to be exceptional.
Yeah, it's one of those uncommon subs. You're like, all right, we got to play it back.
Well, because you think about it, in most MMA fights, it's going to be like, okay, rear naked choke, arm bar. In a rare case, maybe a leg lock. Those are fairly succinct. This is one where you saw a grip, and I didn't have the angle on it, but I had to get going. So I go, whatever it is, I'm sure it was great. Congratulations, Kevin. So I had to charge Tim with the responsibility of looking at it. So I was like, you figure it out what it is, Tim. I'm on to the next thing. So big kudos and congratulations to you, sir. Tim, I should ask this. What did you observe from Kevin's side in terms of what was going on in his side of the world?
Well, I went back and watched the fight. First of all, I'm a huge Cody Durden fanboy. I watched him in Nashville when he came out and fought that weekend, and he put on an electrifying performance. It was a great fight. The crowd went bananas for him, even though he's not a Tennessee boy. They loved him, and I've been really checking him out ever since. So I definitely had eyes on the match. The funniest thing that I saw from the whole thing was that the announcer, which what's that guy's name? Anyway, I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. He's one of the good ones too. He announced the choke is an anaconda. He said with an anaconda finish, and Durden just kind of like made just a slight it wasn't that choke. So that I found that the funniest, man.
I do have to say, when we start calling things a ninja choke, I feel like you can just name it whatever you want. Like, I think at a certain point, we start running out of names, or we get into 10th Planet names where you just go like, it's some bullshit that I call. And no matter whatever you call it, somebody else is going to claim responsibility for their system that they invented it first.
Yes.
So you could literally have called that a unicorn, and somebody would have been like, actually, I invented the unicorn back in 1990. I was like one of 5 grapplers in the world. And you go, okay, whatever you want to say. All I can say is dope AF. Congratulations to Cody. Congratulations to you. Sir, we are short on time, so we're going to go ahead and get straight to the board right now. And I guess it's kind of an extension of where we started at the very beginning of this, which was, it was an incredibly busy weekend for the Bullpen hosts. So I asked Tim to give a recap of what he thought was going on for Kevin. So I thought it would be a good thing to get outside perspective. And I would ask Kevin, what were your observations of anything that you picked up from the world of Subversive?
Why didn't y'all get into that fight? I was looking to see Tim coming in with the steel chair. What's going on?
Yeah, I mean,
listen, I thought about it.
Hold on. Let me say, we give everybody a minute here to talk, and this dude took his minute, resended it, and said, you know what? I have questions for everybody here. So let me do this to you, Kevin. What do you think I looked like when that was going on?
I can't decide whether you were concerned and offended, or you were leaning in, just eyes lit up like, yes.
Well, if you would like to know, it's kind of giving away the little photo preview, but I'll skip ahead here real quick. See that photo in the top right corner? That was me. Because we were so close to landing the bird. We were so close to finishing the show. I had already started going up to people and was shaking hands because I don't get to see everybody on the way out. And I thanked people for their time. And I said, great job, everybody. We killed it. We put out so many fires. Everybody above. Okay. And I stopped. I took a moment. I tried to find everybody and see if everybody was okay. And of course, there was a giant melee to end the weekend, and it was not the ideal way to go. So I'll ask you guys for your interpretations, but let me just say this to be very clear about where I was on it. Not a fan. Also, all I wanted to do was send people home. Like, I wanted to send my crew home on an upper and say, everybody did a great job. Congratulations. That shit put us back. Because after that happened, you still have the champions who are like, well, we still have to do a photo op. And then you have a bar where you're like, that doesn't seem like a good idea to send people there. So let's just kick everybody out. So it was a giant mess of an end of what was a great event. And it is unfortunate that is the way it had to end.
If you say so,
I mean,
I'd be screaming World Star.
I think, it was a really great event. The composition of all of the matches, the matches went really well. If you go back and you watch, and sometimes when you mix grappling with combat jiu-jitsu and you don't only put the no-gi grappling matches first, you intermix them, sometimes you get like a tricky product, but everybody brought it. So all the matches were really good. Of course, the production I felt like was great. The venue was awesome on top of the Hard Rock Hotel, downtown San Diego. It was a sunny day, but it wasn't terrible. Like everyone was able to manage. There was a big pool party going on. People were in a great mood. It was packed. Everybody who's anybody in the Southern California jiu-jitsu scene was there, and it was a good time. The melee, well, I like a little roughhousing. I don't like it when it's outside of the competitors. So if the competitors are going to get into it, let the competitors get into it. They're already slapping each other in the face. So, an extra punch or two ain't the end of the world. But when it gets almost out of control, that's when, dudes got to take a step back and consider what they're doing and what this does to the product. But I think overall, it was a great event. It was a fantastic event. The energy was great. The fans were great. And I think Subversive's doing a nice job in the pocket in that niche that they're in right now. I think they're doing a fantastic job. I love EBI overtime with strikes. It is awesome. I think it is the solution to people gaming the system. Even in a no-gi grappling match, they should say, if you go to EBI overtime, there's strikes. That's just the way it works. There's no other way around it. Just to filter out dudes who want to eat the clock up and then try to win in overtime. Overall, I thought it was a great event. Congrats to the champs that won. Noah Chen walked away the middleweight champ. That's awesome. Team FaZe took the team titles home. Congratulations to them. We saw some big matches, man. It was good stuff. So I'm happy to be part of it. If you want the melee, just go watch it. I don't know what to say. Like, watch it for yourself and make your own decision. But yeah, I thought it was good.
Kevin, you're more plugged into the internet when it gets into the rowdiness. What has been the collective pulse of what people have been saying about the melee online?
I think you have the classic two camps of some of us got into fighting as a sport and we would like it to be professional. We would like jiu-jitsu to be elevated. We would like this to become major league and people to conduct themselves as professionals. And I understand that side. And then some of us got into this as like violence light. And every now and then you're having yourself a beer and somebody goes, hey man, you want a shot with that? And you say, you know what? Hell yeah, I don't have work in the morning. Let's go.
Yes.
So I think some people are pretty, we all see the hecklers. We see the guy booing. We've all seen the person who doesn't actually compete or isn't actually about what they say, and they like to holler from the sidelines. And we've all wanted to kick that dude like we're Leonidas from 300. So I think you got two pretty strong camps. Some don't like it. We got Wallow saying it makes the show look amateurish, and he's not wrong. Some of us don't care, and we like the violence. You got two wolves inside you. Which one you feed?
So let's get here then. Where do you fall, Kevin? Because you keep saying some people, and then you kind of look around, and then you're like, but other people, some of us, like, which camp do you belong to? Because I'll tell you this much. I have no interest in getting into a fight with anybody when I walk in. But I think you could ask people, sometimes the way I talk to people when they are not doing their job, it shows I'm not short of getting into a fight with somebody. I just prefer to be as professional as possible and just say, like, hey guys, let's just get through this. These are just words. These are just things we need to get through. So where do you fall, Kevin Sherrill, through all of this?
It entirely depends on my capacity at the event, what I'm actually doing. If I'm there as a for example, we almost had a little scuffle during the weight cut. The UFC, there were two guys who had gotten kind of jawed at each other online, and it got brought up while there's 15 people in the sauna at the UFC PI. And I'm keeping my mouth shut because I know when I open my mouth, things start to escalate. I tend to, like, the little smirk comes on, and now people want to throw hands. So I keep my mouth shut because, you know what? Kody's cutting weight. We're not going to brawl in the sauna. Everyone needs to relax. Let's not get involved. But if I'm there as an athlete, if I'm there as a coach, if there's a possibility, as long as there's not a possibility I'm going to lose out on a check or an opportunity, I could be talked into swinging.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to swing first, but I didn't get into this because it's a sport.
I'll be very honest. This is essentially my checklist that I'm trying to figure out the pulse of what's happening with us when we go to PGF, because the last thing I need is for any one of us to have a black eye when we're on the air. And if your brand is handsomeness and you lose handsomeness, I might have to replace you. And I really
might have to drop me.
You know what I mean? Because, like, what if you're just Kevin Sherrill? It's like, ooh.
Yeah.
As long as Paul or Ernesto doesn't get into it, I am going to sit back, probably laugh, and look forward to when we break down the fight on one of these events. If Paul or Ernesto starts swinging, your boy's going over some couches.
Good to know. I should point this out, though, as we kind of circle around the end of Subversive and move on to maybe even talking a little bit about Kevin's weekend. You know, I just think there's a couple things to learn from this. Number one, perhaps don't treat athletes like circus monkeys. What do I mean by that? I mean, you can be somebody who's going to express how you feel about it, but don't go actively poking the bear or getting close to these people who just got engaged in combat. So that's part one. Number two, we could all stand to be a little bit better in controlling our emotions. I think that's a pretty big thing. And I think that's also part of where I think the professionalism comes in. So I could agree to that. But three, I can tell you this without perhaps going into like full detail. I just think if you look at it from a different side, these are a bunch of grapplers who, if they ever feel their families are at risk, will probably take very, very extreme measures. So I think there was a lot of narratives at play at here. I'm not going to tell you anybody was in the right or in the wrong. I can just tell you, as a guy who was holding a clipboard and a rundown and a headset, I was not pleased. I wanted to go home. It pushed back strike. I'm glad no one was actually hurt, but it's not something I like to see. And I think we did get some feedback. And the weird part is right now, we're seeing it kind of escalate, and people are, you know, I saw one person being like, oh, you know, they talked them into this. None of us talked anybody into something like that ever. So
yeah, that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous
idea. Out of your head. But I've seen all the comments, and you know it is dumb like that because you also see a fair amount of gay, jiu-jitsu. Hey, none of these guys know how to strike. And then I think some of the people were actually talking shit to the people involved. And I was like, see, this is where I feel like you're poking the bear again. So perhaps people take heed. Don't be dicks. that's essentially, and Tim Wolf basically confirm, that's one of the prevailing things I tell my staff. And the good news is my staff, not dicks to each other. So very pleased about that. Thank you, Kevin, for the thumbs up. That makes me feel, oh shit. So I don't know if people see this. It really pisses me off. I got to figure out how to turn that off. When people do like a thumbs up as a guest, for whatever reason, it makes the bubble happen. And I have tried to disguise it and put it away, but I cannot. And it really makes me mad. So there is that. Doing it
more, Raf.
Don't, I swear to God. Well, if you're going to be a professional, let's talk about what the Daily Stack says. And it says, I see Kevin still hasn't plugged in his mic. Yep, 3 weeks running now.
Big shock.
Busy guy, bro.
It's not very hard to do. You just kind of plug in things and test them out. To his credit, he is borrowing somebody's iPad. So it's not like he gets a free pass. But I know what this dude is looking at. Come at 12 a.m. in the morning. He can take 5 minutes to do it. So by next week, he better be on it. Or else I guess now we're getting into a brawl. We're going into the next topic, guys. And here it is. We got into Subversive. We got into the weekend. We should say this, though. Congratulations. We did give props to Kevin. We were very happy about that. But this week, it did seem like there were some major allegations towards ONE FC. And it begs the question, what exactly is going on over there? I'm going to go ahead and start this with you, Tim. Can you give us some kind of summary as to what exactly is happening with ONE FC?
Yeah, so a few things have kind of hit the internet, specifically social media. The first part that I noticed was when Gary Tonin out and kind of had a plea out there, like, anybody have a podcast that, covers this stuff that would like to talk? I got a bunch of stuff I want to say. And he tagged Joe Rogan. Not too long after that, Buchecha came out and said, hey, I haven't retired. The reason you haven't seen me active for 13 months is they can't get me a fight. If you want me to fight, let them know. Say something. So that seemed problematic. And then President Awesome made some allegations about, the contracts and the way they set them up, and it's problematic. So I think there might be some issues. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and these are 3 individuals. I don't think they're coordinated with each other. They don't seem to have a relationship that's outside of one championship. So something's going on over there. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of bummed out because I think ONE is really good for the sport. And if they can't maintain their MMA or their jiu-jitsu, I hope they let those guys go, but at least keep their kickboxing and Muay Thai. But I think they have a real cool mix, and it would be nice to see them continue with all of it. Now, on top of that, Renzo Gracie interrupted the broadcast in Denver, walked in on it, and had some words with the chairman, Shatri Sityondong, live. Just did it. And I think we got some screen caps here, and I wanted to just get an outsider's perspective. I wanted to see if Kevin could just give us his feedback on what he thinks was going on.
Kevin, are you able to do this? Do you feel up for the challenge? Are you nervous by this? Because we really didn't put this in the rundown.
Can you give me the screen caps?
I will give you the screen caps. I have been just sent them, so I can do. Listen, I want your consent before. This is a very, very sensitive week in jiu-jitsu, as we've seen. So I want to make sure that you're not just going to start wilding out if I just start throwing these photos on and say, hey, get to them.
I'll keep it clean, but I'm good to go.
Okay, here we go. Here is your first photo. What is happening in this photo, sir? Oh God, he was not up for it.
Amazing.
There he is.
I'll put the photo back up, but that did not bode well for my confidence on this segment. Can't make any sense of it. So Renzo's on the far left. The announcer's there.
What are we doing here?
Okay.
He's got his hand on the back of Sityondong's neck, I guess.
It is confusing. So what is happening here now, Kevin?
Man, he gave him a little kiss on the side of the ear.
Mhm.
Are they on good terms? Because that's terrifying. I feel like if a grown man kisses you on the side of the head, one of two things is happening. That dude's La Familia, you're a made man, or like someone's gonna come to your house and put a horse head in your bed.
Right?
Like, there's not a lot of in between, bro.
I think you're right. We'll continue this on. It does look like there's another one here. And see, this is where I think it takes a turn in my head.
He is La Familia. He's getting a black belt. That's awesome, man.
So
Made.
Can I
That's
just tell you this right
especially
now?
with the Gracie affiliate.
That particular series of photos that Tim found, I think goes past jiu-jitsu, goes past MMA. Those are things that made me think he was about to be announced as not being the father on Montel Williams. Like, these are some moments where my dude is super relieved, like he didn't catch a stray here.
Yeah.
And I look like, so shit, what's going on, man?
It was confusing for sure. And I'll go to this last one that Tim sent me, although I feel like this one out of context probably is worse, because you probably don't have to have the context here to understand something good is not happening here. But in your opinion, Kevin, what is happening in this particular last photo here?
Is he he's standing the gauntlet? You don't run the gauntlet, you're standing it now?
Yeah,
That's
I mean, he's going through the world's smallest gauntlet. Can I point this out? Here we go. This is from Bobby 5G, and it says, he got his black belt. Shaking my head. What's so bad about that? I mean, first of all, out of context, these photos do not play well. Second of all, we're having some fun. Third of all, why are you ruining fun? Thanks, Bobby 5Gs.
Yeah,
So-
we know that he got his black belt. Duh.
It is impressive when somebody needs to be the like, hold on, I've got a correction here. I bet they didn't think of this. Yes.
Man, don't take it too seriously, bro. Don't suck fun out of stuff, Bobby.
I was also about to be like, one of my favorite things to do whenever somebody would like get really worked up and send something to Verbal Tap's Instagram account is I would just get a screenshot of the Verbal Tap logo that was like, where in comedy broadcast do you not understand what's happening here? Like MMA comedy podcast. You know what? I'll leave it to society to figure out. All right, since we are short on time, we're going to get Kevin out here in just a second, but we will advance one more because I do know some interesting news is happening. And yes, that is the PGF is going to have its second qualifier for the 7th season out in Nashville. What's weird is that even though Tim lives out in Nashville, he will not be there, but representing the Bullpen will be our correspondent and co-anchor here, Kevin Sherrill. Kevin, why are you excited for this weekend's qualifier, sir?
It's pretty stacked talent-wise. I think Brad Schneider's there. There's a couple other people. Ernesto Rivera, my buddy and training partner, is about to drop into the bracket. We're driving out there. Ernesto's going there to compete. I'm going to corner him, but I was already going to be there in an attempt to take Tim's job. Yeah, it should be a pretty exciting run. If you've never watched a qualifier, you really should. They're wild. They're real wild. Especially because it's the regular PGF rule set, but there's no pressure that you want to let down your team. There's no real expectations. Brandon opens with like, hey guys, time to show out. And people respond. It tends to get popping. Guys try to be entertaining. They put on a show. They have a good time. It runs real fast. Tons of action. You should tune in. I'm excited. I think Tim's gonna lose his spot. I'm just gonna stay in Nashville after I'm done. Tim, don't come back from Florida.
What spot? You're on this
I don't know.
show. So are you trying to take his gym?
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
Do you not
if
understand
you really want
what
it,
all is entailed with that? Like, whenever somebody says they want to open a gym, they conveniently forget the fact that they then have to do all the inventory, clean the toilets, then do all the planning, and then I think worse than that, Then they get to the teaching, which is by the time people then complain that they're working 12-hour days and only get one lunch break. I'm like, well, I got news for you, bud. It gets worse when you got to do the whole thing. And somebody says, hey, man, I might have accidentally broken the handle on the toilet. Who should I talk to about that? And the answer is always me.
Yeah, the commute alone would be pretty brutal.
Before we let you leave, Kev, do you have any tips or any suggestions as somebody who has experienced PGF to those people who are going to be going through the qualifiers, sir?
Show out. There's one winner. Unless you're that guy, that is the only person who can afford to be boring. The only one who can afford to be boring is if you win every single match. And I mean win. It's sub only, and at the end of 6 minutes, if there's a decision and you're boring, Brandon will not pick you. Show out at the qualifiers. Put it all on the line. If you get got, there's a good chance you make a good impression, you're exciting, you get picked up anyways. Show out.
Well, thank you for that, Kevin. You have a full day of teaching to get back to. Thank you so much for taking some time. I know we had to adjust the schedules this week due to travel and exhaustion, but congratulations to you, sir. We were very happy to see you produce a win as a coach in the UFC, and that is remarkable, and we didn't want to not acknowledge what a great moment that is for you, sir.
Yeah, it was a huge milestone for life. I'm glad we all got back here, even on a rush tight schedule. It's good to be on the show with you guys again.
Absolutely, sir. So we will see you back next week. Safe travels, and get us some footage from the PGF so we can put it on next week, sir.
Yeah,
thanks, Kevin.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Kevin Sherrill signing off from his stolen mom's iPad. So let's do this because we didn't know exactly how this was going to go. I'm going to switch things on the fly here, everybody. You will see me and how this all works. All here very briefly. What's up?
While you're doing that, I was also gonna say, look, there's like 43 athletes registered right now for the qualifiers, and there's some big names. Like I see Kyle Bame's name in there. There's some heavy hitters that are coming into the qualifiers in Nashville. And if you're not gonna be there in person, it won't be live streamed, but they're gonna make a similar episode like they did for the Austin qualifiers. It'll probably be condensed to 30, 40 minutes, somewhere around there. I'm thinking if it's like the Austin one, and you could watch the whole qualifier episode in one shot. So look out for that. They did a real nice job with the last one. The Las Vegas qualifiers are coming up September 28th. And then I wanted to give a big shout out to those folks there at PGF. The Legends and Legacy, the Grapplers Legends and Legacy documentary, episode 1 is dropping Friday, September 13th. It's a 5-part series that covers the entire PGF season 6, the ups, the downs, the beginnings, the ends. What a lot of people don't realize is they had a film crew there that was doing the actual live production. And then they had a secondary film crew that was filming a documentary the entire time. So this is the result of that. It's going to be balls out. Make sure you check it out on the PGF World YouTube and Instagram accounts.
What I did love about that was that you would turn around and you would see them.
Yeah.
And I just wondered, I was like, well, I don't mind the drama for the athletes, but I do wonder how much in the background I appear frazzled, because on air, I'm pretty good at keeping a straight face, but behind the scenes, I'm very much like, why isn't this working? Tim, sit down, level. Somebody do this. Somebody do that. And I was just like, I hope that I don't appear like Donald Duck as like some dramatic moment is happening in the background, just like jumping up in air with like steam rolling out of my ears. So I go like, I don't even think it's going to be like they interviewed me like something I did. I just think I'm in the background looking really pissed.
I did see you in the background, and you have a Grappling Hour t-shirt on. And no, you look good. You look good. I'm going to be real. I was like, did this full stage that? It looks great, dude.
It's good to know. Listen, hey, that's why you always wear the brand stuff, because you never know when you're going to be on TV. But
That's a
we
great
appreciate
point.
that. And the Daily Stack says it's really good. Well, we're very excited to see it be very good. And that premieres on the 13th. Keep eyes out for that. I'm assuming here, Tim, it drops one episode per week, kind of like leading up.
Yes, every Friday.
Every Friday. Okay, very good to see. Let's definitely get behind that and support it. And maybe if there are some good screen grabs, we can see if Kevin can narrate those ones as well, because apparently he did such a good job that the internet got confused and said, why you guys don't understand black belt?
Yeah. Yeah, that wasn't the point.
But why you know it black belt? You let him get black belt. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, all right, we'll move on. Bobby, we love you. Let's go to our next topic here. It is this one. It's a return. I don't know if I like this. Here's why. It's been rumored that there's some returns in the near future. There have been some athletes that just kind of tease the thought. Maybe, just maybe, there's going to be an athlete or two returning. When CJI hit its stride, we were being told they were working on a big athlete who was retired to come out of retirement and shock the world. People started thinking Marcelo. People started thinking, what about the Mendez brothers? And even that has caught more fire as more individuals have been kind of coming up and saying, like, I've heard rumblings. And I got to ask you, Tim, any truth to this? And if so, what more do we need to know about these so-called alleged returns?
So I think what's going on is one of their students, Tiandro, basically came out and said that it's highly likely that they're going to one of them or both of them. And when I say them, I mean Guy and Rafa Mendez will be making a return to action, not so much in the form of a competition like a tournament, but in the form of a super fight. And I think probably my speculation is that Mikey Musumeci was going to fight one of those guys, and it didn't work out. The article went on to say that they have been in some negotiations, and it looked like something was going to happen, and that, you know, it should be soon. And I'm looking forward to it. Look, I think Rafa Mendez is up there in the argument for the greatest of all time. Like, one of the most amazing jiu-jitsu players on the planet. He can wrestle. He can play top. He can play bottom. He's innovative. They can transfer their system to other students, as we've seen. And I think the jiu-jitsu world needs him back, man. It would be great. I can't wait to see him. And I hope that he does come back. I hope it's just not bait. And they're like, oh, yeah, get our new AOJ+++. Like, I hope it's not that. I hope it is a real announcement that he's returning to action in the no-gi world. That's what I want to see. Those guys, they see that $1 million, man. That'll get you out of bed.
But doesn't this make you feel like it's not like it's a put on, but don't you want to temper your expectations so that you do not get sad? That is my issue. I do not want to get sad about these things. Also, retirement is a lie. Every time somebody says it, I just want to stop them right there and say, stop talking. You don't know if you're retired. You can say I'm taking a long break. You can say the band's going on hiatus. But you tell me you're retired. You better mean it, dude. And listen, I come from a world of watching pro wrestling where retirements come and go. And that the main integrity a pro wrestler has is when they stick to this lie, which is, no, this retirement's for real. And the only person recently who's maybe gotten me to believe it is Batista. Because when Dave Batista's like, you know what? I went out pretty well, and I don't want to ruin that. And you think, do I believe him? And then my man shows up in a smaller outfit. People are worried about his health. You're wondering, how do you go from 300 pounds to Dame Judi Dench size? Like, you just get to the sense where you're like, is he okay? And I think to myself, he's probably okay. I hope he's okay. But he's just smaller from what we knew him as when he was probably very in shape in very different ways. So yeah, anytime somebody says they're retired, it bugs me. And then I have to do this whole song and dance of like, oh, you're trying to say that I wouldn't want the Mendez brothers back on the competitive circuit? Get out of here. We'd take them back in a second. But there's too many jiu-jitsu athletes who play around with this element of, hey, enjoy it while it's still here. When in actuality, it's like, dude, it's in their blood. If you give them the competition, they'll take it. And if the money continues to get better, you're going to see some of these guys looking around like, maybe I didn't mean it after all. Or they say things like, oh, I don't know, things changed. Well, sure, but don't tell us you're retired. You're still going to be training. You're still going to be doing your thing. I had a competitor just this weekend when he was competing at Subversive, came up to me and said, that's the last one. And I was like, you're 28, dude. No. And he goes, no, Raf, I mean it. It's the last one. I was like, you just go enjoy your win, kid. So I guess what I'm saying to you guys is please be very, very careful with the R word. All of them, I guess I should say. Now that I think it out through. Yeah. All R words, be very careful with. So there is that. Is there any more to that story? Are we good to go on from there? But where do you fall in this, Tim?
Well, I want him to come back. I don't know why he retired. There was speculation when he retired
that's
that it was like an unannounced penalization from the IBJJF. I have no idea if that was true or not, but whatever's going on.
Way, what kind of fucking rule is that? To just be like, you know what? Then
retire.
Trump card. I retire. And they go, I can't do anything. Like, what kind of weird amnesty for a bullshit rule is that when they just go, we were going to throw the book at him, but that motherfucker retired. Like, do you know how many people in crime would just go, I retire? It's like, it's like our version of declaring bankruptcy. It's like, I was going to get you for so much money, but you're broke. So is that what we do? We just retire if somebody comes after us with any kind of steroid allegation or anything like that sort?
I think so. It's kind of like when somebody goes, you're fired, and you're like, you can't fire me because I quit. They're like, you're suspended. You can't suspend me because I retire. Yeah, I don't know. These are all speculations. I have no idea. I like those guys.
None of us have any idea. It's just a rumor that took place. Yeah. And it's enough of a rumor that it made its way to all of us in all of our different gyms. Like, it wasn't just you and I invented something. We're giving voice to something that somebody told us. And as news people, we never officially reported because there is no story. But the word was always there was some sort of back end deal. And I think the worst part about jiu-jitsu is there's no real coverage that does media like that in that way. So then it becomes urban legend. So that when people go, allegedly they retired, because it's like, we don't know. And if they did retire it, then it's a really fucking dumb rule. And it goes to my larger point, which is I'm just assuming that's not part of the deal. Thus me being like, can we get over this retirement thing? They're great talents. I think it's really weird because maybe it did open the door for some new people to get into that ADCC world because they had such a lock on it. Maybe it changed the game for IBJJF. But I don't know, man. They don't always have to be in the main adult competition set. There are plenty of super fights we can throw at them that anoint the new guard while at the same time seeing what their spectacular jiu-jitsu produces. And even if they want to level out and be like, I'm going to take a few years off, I don't really want to do this anymore. All good. Go do that. But it's when people start being like, and I officially retire at the age of 28. You go, bro.
What? Yeah.
Bro.
There's only one Sandy Koufax.
So, just some thoughts on that one. All right, let's get to our next story. Eek, this one was tough to see. Amidst a whole world watching a very, very tough night in America for debates. It was even tougher for one Cody Steele. Here's the news. Cody Steele was at the Performance Center yesterday, and he was getting ready to fight. Just a few seconds before he was about to go out there to fight his opponent, he was told that the fight was off. Then William Tackett updated us and said, nope, just kidding. Another 5 minutes go by, and the update says, yeah, his opponent still wants these hands. They change course very quickly. Everything's going fine. I leave things alone. I find out we have a friend who is watching live in attendance. And he messages me and he said, hey man, it sucks about Cody. And I go, oh, well, I know it's tough to prepare for somebody, but I'm glad the fight's still going on. He goes, it's not going on anymore. And I go, what do you mean it's not going on? They just announced it's going to happen. He went from no to yes. And then my friend tells me, oh, it went back to no. So just put yourself in this perspective, and I'll get to you in a second here, Tim. How would you feel going from, yes, you're fighting, no, you're not fighting, don't warm up anymore, to then going back and trying to get warm for perhaps the biggest night so far of your budding MMA career?
Well, you know, the good thing is, as a grappler, Cody probably has a lot of experience waiting hours on end for his bracket to be called. Hey, everybody warm up. Oh, you're there for 2 hours. No, not yet. Come back again. But for a fight, especially at the Apex on the Contender Series, that's a big freaking deal. I was completely confused as to what in the hell was going on, because I saw some of the comments about, oh, hey, Cody's opponent pulled out. And then I saw the comments that said, no, the fight's on. And then I saw something else that said it was off. And then I'm just like, okay, I'm watching the replay of it, because I watched it after I got home from class last night. And I'm like, I'm just not going to look at anything. I'm just going to watch that. I'm watching that, and they're going like, Cody Steele's going to be up shortly and blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, it's on. It's good. Not good. I was really disappointed for him, man. I think that he's ready to do some major stuff, and I was pretty bummed out that he didn't get a pop out there, man. That's a bummer, and it's hard to do that, to train and believe you're going into a fight, and then they tell you, no, the fight's off, and you're bummed, and then they go, no, the fight's back on. Now you're in double time, and then they come back and go, JK, no fight today. So I hope they make it right. I think they will. I didn't catch the post-fight interview or the Phantom fight interview, but it seems like they're going to take care of them.
Well, I don't know if you can see, though, but up in the corner, there is a Dana White that did emerge from the shadows, which means 7 more weeks of fall. And he came to Alfred Hitchcock his way into the shot, and he told Cody, hey, man, oh, sorry, I got to use the Dana voice. Hey, Cody, yeah, it's some crazy shit that happened, right? Okay, but we're going to try and make this right. You will fight on the Dana White Contender Series by the end of this year. So it does look like that will happen. But I've done enough interviews with Cody to kind of know he does this lick thing with his lips when he's kind of trying to process, like, this sucks. So he was doing this as Dana White walks in, and it's giving him what is essentially good news. And I'm sure he actually is relieved this is happening rather than you're not going to be on this season.
Right.
But I think he's dealing with the thought of, but I really wanted to scrap today. So I just saw this as Dana White goes, hey, and he goes, yep. Ah, fuck, I have to eat this. This sucks. And, you know, I have to tell you, I think the other person I felt for was one of my homies was going to watch because of Cody Steele. Another one of my homies, who is William Tackett, is there taking off time from his work and his life to go support his homeboy. So I know this happens all the time in the fight world, but we could see the real time reverberation that it was in our small jiu-jitsu community of both people who don't know him but want to go support him, his own crew who's just mystified to the point where his coach, you know, Wood was on his Instagram saying a few minutes later, he's like, I've never seen this before, where somebody elects twice in about a 10-minute period not to fight him. And
Wild.
I have to double check this because, you know, when people say comments and you don't know if they're actually true.
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody put this in the like comment section somewhere. And it made me really, really figure out like, wait, is this true? Is this something that we are quoting here? And it does look like it is the case. Okay, I think I can say this is what it is. It looked like somebody said that this dude fought Alex Pereira back in his first fight in MMA.
What?
Back in 2015.
Wow.
So they were pointing out that this dude, yeah, he lost to Alex Pereira. It was Alex Pereira's first fight at Jungle Fight 82 back in October 24th of 2015. And it was taking place in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And he got submitted, of all things. Alex Pereira got submitted by this guy. So
this guy has a win over Pereira.
He has a win over Alex Pereira. Before Alex Pereira's MMA version, he was still very, very, very heavy in the kickboxing world. And like not even at his full peak yet. So this dude, somebody put up, I think, and KODY replayed it or reshared it, he wasn't afraid to go up against Alex Pereira, but he is afraid to go up against Cody Steele. And I have to tell you, these logical jumps for me don't always make sense. But in this case, if you're Cody, you get to say it. Like, comes with the territory of dropping out. Like, you have full reign to say whatever you want. You speak your mind, King. So, really, really bummed for our pal. I hope they make it right. I'm glad it happened a little bit earlier in the season. But I know that little reaction from Cody was just like, hey, man, this is me wanting to change my life. I'm so close. And I just want to remind him, you are so close. Stay the course. I think good things still are coming. So hopefully all works and resolves itself out. But yeah, bummer. Let's move ahead to our next topic, which I think if we're really talking about stuff that bums us out, you, Tim, were the one to break this news to me as I was driving down and I was watching 1FC and I was very confused because we talk about the card changing and being subject to change. We all knew that Mikey had to drop out because of weight repercussions. What I didn't know until I was driving down, and I'm not even sure they were saying it on the broadcast because I was watching it while I was driving. You mentioned to me that Mikey ended up in the hospital. And I need you to tell me how you found out, because it was relatively quick after he had posted up that you sent it to me. So what exactly happened to Mikey this weekend, sir?
So Mikey, the big news originally was that he was stripped of his belt by one because he failed the hydration test. And then and Mikey announced that, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then not too much longer after that, he posted a picture of him in a hospital bed. And he had, you know, I can't remember what the medical name is, but more or less he said that he had torn his lung in some capacity. And that the doctors told him if he would have competed, there was a chance that he could have seriously put his life at risk, which is like, look, I bust Mikey's chops, but I like Mikey. Like I still want Mikey to win. I don't want anything bad to happen to him. So, you know, that was kind of frightening. What was crazy to me is he said he did it while he was cutting weight, doing the Rickson Gracie yoga, deep breathing, like rolling stomach thing. Which is insane. I don't know if there's any medical literature on that. I didn't know you could do that to yourself, doing that. I could never breathe like that anyway, but I'm like, damn. That's insane. Like, he heard himself breathing. Right after that, Rickson's name pops up again. And this time it's about Jocko, and he's basically correcting or rebutting, let's say, Keenan Cornelius's statement, and that Keenan was giving it his assessment of Rickson Gracie's jiu-jitsu, and he said it was that of a modern day, like, really good purple belt. And Jocko was going like, yeah, I don't think that's correct. I think you're wrong. Like, wow, Rickson's popping up. 5 minutes later, boom, Rickson pops up again. The rights to his book, Breathe, have been optioned. And the company is Futurelli Entertainment. It's led by Adam Rifkin. These are big names in movies. Brad Wyman and Michael Gerstein. I guess they've optioned it. They want to turn it into a movie, obviously, kind of a biography, I guess, about Rickson Gracie's life and the stuff that's in the book. And I'm like, damn, this guy really is a legend. He shows up all the time. His name never goes away. He's undefeated on the streets. They're going to make a movie about his life. And I'm like, wow, who started thinking? I immediately thought about you, Raf, and I thought, I gotta ask him who should play Rickson Gracie. I want to go to the big screen, and see that.
Well, it's a good question that I am underprepared for, because it'll bother me if I get it wrong. So give me a second here to start sussing this out. Let's just say this. First and foremost, before I answer your question, the thing I thought about when Mikey mentioned that this was partially due to Rickson's breathing methods, all I could think of was Rickson has to be at home like 50 Cent going, me? Why are you bringing me into this? Come on, bro. Like, I just thought this dude is so now removed from the current MMA and jiu-jitsu scene and trying to be in the headlines. I have one of his last interviews that was in print, and I was very lucky to get it because he doesn't do a ton. Yeah. But I did feel in that moment, I was like, I don't get the sense he feels he needs to do a ton of press, but he was doing it because he was about to launch the Jiu-Jitsu Federation. And I just remembered getting a sense that with him in particular, it's like, I'll show up when I need to show up. I don't have to show up.
Yeah. You're right. I got that sense from him too.
And I think that's good. I think that is something that is important and relevant. And when you get to a certain status, you can pick and choose where you want to be. And he has all the right in the world to do it. And he definitely has a very good story. So that's why it became all the more surprising to me that Mikey goes like, yeah, man, really bad things happened to me. And you go, man, I feel so bad for him. I hope he's okay. Yeah, I was doing this, and it was Rickson's breathing. And I go, uh-oh. Normally you do the song and dance where you go, Rickson, you want to respond to this? Nah. Because it's in the same boat of what you mentioned with Keenan going like, I think Rickson would just be a good purple belt, which I want to believe that Keenan believes. It's just such a weird, absurd statement to make. Like,
he couldn't even put him at brown. He put him at purple.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I know enough purples that would just get mopped by him, period. It's just always weird, this need to compare to the past, while at the same time acknowledging like, oh, for sure, we've seen more innovations and cool things that make things easier for people to understand or cut down the amount of time. And for sure, there's thousands more in jiu-jitsu instructors than there ever were back in the day. Having said all that, I don't know that we need to keep telling people like, you know, if Chuck Liddell was around today, he wouldn't even make it past the Contender Series. Like, what the fuck are we doing this for? It's just a weird way of shitting on people who are the foundation good or bad, and loaned their services and their specialties to it. So I don't know.
It's ridiculous. I agree.
Having said that, it's kind of weird because I think the thing that has always made me impressed about Rickson is that it's never pressed him in terms of who says what about him. And that's the one thing I've always hoped for Gordon, which is that I think Gordon knows his relevancy is tied to his outlandish responses to things. It's kind of the current social media scene, which is troll, create drama, keep your name in the headlines. And when he's calling himself the GOAT, all I ever think about is I'm like, Michael Jordan never had to call himself the GOAT. He just was. And so that's why every time you see a conversation with him now, you think to yourself, he doesn't bother himself with this. That dude's too busy gambling on the fucking golf course to care what anybody thinks about him. Fuck that.
He's too busy doing greatest of all time stuff.
Well, that's just what GOATs do. And I feel like Rickson's, he kind of had that similar path of, I'm just not going to involve myself. And if you want to question 400-0, I don't give a shit. And it's probably the right response because a lot of us are like, really? Can you really win 400 fights, dude? What about that one? And then you're always trying to find the scapegoat thing. And I'm like, I know a good story, but I don't know what any of this means. So, yes, damn, Rickson's book has a win over Mikey.
It does.
That is definitely an interpretation of it.
I got a couple of picks for actor if you want to hear them first.
Please go for it, sir.
Or if you want to come up with yours.
So I have to be honest here.
I got 3 based on his age.
I was going to say, are we talking modern Rickson or old school Rickson? Like, are we Michael Jacksoning it where there's a different actor playing each era?
I think we have to. I think that you got to have like, 20s and 30s age Rickson, and then you got to have like older Rickson.
Okay,
so
hit me with
I think
what
I got
you
it nailed. I noticed. Okay, so the first 2, and maybe some people know this kid, maybe some people don't, but I think he'd be great. This is a real pick, by the way. I think he'd be great for a young Rickson. This is a former One Direction band member. His name is Zayn Malik. I think he would be freaking great as a young Rickson Gracie. I like how, I think he'd be good. Not a fan of One Direction, but I think he could nail it. For a adult Rickson Gracie, I think we're looking at like Frank Grillo, like someone like that. I'm thinking somebody who can come in, get in real good shape, Marth, and then outside of that, I see my backup started one more time. I just paused it. Apologize for the funky video right here. It should clear up in just a second. So the last pick is the most controversial one, and I want you to hear me out on this. This is the old Rickson Gracie, and this is Rickson who doesn't care. He's not doing anything. He's just chilling. This Rickson would be played, the ponytail Rickson, by Steven Seagal.
You know what?
I just got a head shake.
Any part of this. If the whole point of this was to get to old fat Steven Seagal,
it was.
You
sussed me out. You know how I'm wired.
Hold on. Here's what I want to tell you. I legitimately took your challenge. And I think I came up with somebody pretty good. Maybe a little off kilter in terms of acting experience, but I think they could hit the stunt choreography pretty well. And I want you to hear me out on this, okay? So we're talking casting for Rickson Gracie, right? What if I were to say to you, maybe we don't have to go outside of jiu-jitsu?
Okay.
Baby Shark.
Okay, I can see it.
Playing Rickson Gracie, I think could be a thing. And what you do is, the only thing is we have to work on his voice. because he has a higher pitch voice than I imagine Rickson does. So I think give me some time to do it, because sometimes when Diogo speaks, and I don't know if it's just when he's trying to speak in English, but that voice goes super high. Like, I think sometimes he has sucked up helium and then he is talking in a higher version of his voice. But I think we could work on dialing it down, especially as a speech coach. I feel very confident about my ability to get his natural tone to go down. But my dude he's got the look. That face is part of the casting. And I think we can age him up at least to his like 30s. I think most of the time when people start acting past their 40s, when they're only in their 20s with the makeup, it's like, it's not getting there. Unless we get some Benjamin Button kind of makeup. But even that shit looked weird. And then just for like true bossery in his older age, maybe what you do is you age him even older than he is, and you get a Robert De Niro in his last like major role, just kind of sitting there being like, you know what it is? I'd take part of my interview that I had with him, which is one of my favorite things. And I told somebody this weekend, one of my favorite things that Rickson told me in our interview was he goes, I don't go watch black belts. I get so bored. I go to blue belts because they still want it and they're insane. And all of their movement is all over the place. And it's just so much more fun to watch. And I thought, you know, you're not wrong. I kind of hear you. Because that was when he was on his like, it just sucks, this modern scene. And you go, I don't want to agree too much to this, but I want to hear him out and I want to hear his perspective. It's always hard for me to like shit on the next generation because it's the same logic that the younger generation does to belittle his credentials. So you go, you know what? It's a very similar rhetoric here, but at his core, what he's arguing about modern black belts, or maybe just black belts in general, is just they're so conservative with their action. That's why people think gi is boring at such a high level, is because they're not willing to take any risks. So I think that is part of what we're looking at there.
I thought you were going to say it's because he can't understand modern jiu-jitsu at the black belt level. He has to go down to the blue belt level because he's just a Keenan purple at this point.
You know, it's so funny, but Keenan said that a long time ago, and it, like, the way that modern journalism, not even journalism, modern stories
gets regurgitated.
It's regurgitated in like 3 years to make you forget that he said it, and that it's restated like, remember when he said this? But it doesn't say remember when. It's just like, Rickson, a purple belt in Keenan's eyes. And I was like, Keenan hasn't said that shit in 3 years. And I know he's taking shit for it. And then by the time it makes its way over to Jocko has to come in with like a very wise and sage response to something that's topical news, which is not topical news, but it's made its way to him. And he just goes, I disagree.
Thought about it for 3 years.
I think Keenan may be over speaking here. Now, I respect him a lot, but how could you speak about somebody like at the level of Rickson, one of our greatest?
Yeah.
To be at the level of a purple belt? I don't see it. I don't think that's right. I think Keenan was wrong on that one. You go, okay, great. He said about 40 words in about 5 minutes time. Okay, good. I'm glad this was time well spent. So I guess what I'm saying to you guys is this. I think it's an absurd statement. It's definitely something that he might have been saying in jest or just for shits and giggles. But I think weirdly comparing stuff like that is trying to compare what people do in baseball whenever they're like, oh, if I could get those Yankees from the 1920s. And you go, I have very bad news for you. We do not have that technology. And if we did, I think we have some other stuff to do instead. So, Tim, I think we should close that one. But I want to tell you this. The fact that you went Steven Seagal, I was in the process of giving you a real answer. And I was like, I think I have somebody. I think Baby Shark would be a great casting choice. And you're like, and Steven Seagal. And I go, why did I do that? I shouldn't have done any of that. Legitimate, like, anger in the forehead if I had Botox.
What made me laugh so hard is that you sussed it out so fast. You're like, I think you just did this so you could say Steven Seagal. Like, guilty as charged.
Once you hit the punchline, I go, I'm going to go back and look at the footage, but I'm pretty sure my face was here. Okay. And then I put it all together. Like, I knew Kaiser Soze was right in front of me. So I just kind of had to put that last thing together. And I see here it says Jake Gyllenhaal for Rickson. You know, Jake's good at a lot of things, but I got to tell you this much. He was in Roadhouse. And unless you're about to tell me that was an unofficial Rickson biography, not sure he's the guy I want to give the assignment to. But he was able to carry Conor McGregor, who I love that people said he was the best part about Roadhouse, which should go to tell you that Roadhouse is not even a good enough movie to hate and love. And I hate and love a lot of movies, but I watched that movie like it was a chore. I finished that movie. I think I had to stop with like 20 minutes left. My wife and I had to do something, and she goes, "Why are you so mad?" I go, "I have to finish this fucking movie."
You know, speaking of hate and love, I think you're right. I hate the remake, love the original.
Of course.
Patrick Swayze all day over Conor McGregor.
I mean, for sure, but people were complimenting Conor, and they're like, "Man, he knocked it out of the park." And I go, did he? Or was it just so bad that the managed expectations were he didn't stop acting in the movie? Like, if that's a thing where you don't sell out the movie and you just go criminally insane in your brain, are you acting? Is it just that terrible? Because everybody else around him is super garbage. And even Jake is like, dude, this is kind of embarrassing to be in, but I want to get through this. So they're that. But man, that one hurt to see property eyes like that one. Let's go to our final topic here, Tim. And that is, it is time to get toward our fight. Now, listen, I know a lot of you now are getting to this point where you're actually starting to submit fights you want us to watch. And I'll tell you this much. If you guys want to continue doing that, we're all eyes and ears for it. However, I urge you, one, try to get your entries in as soon as possible, because this show works like this. If I have already made the board has been decided. Like, it does not go backwards. This train has no stop button. And I had friends sending me clips so sweetly saying, "Hey, what about this one?" And I go, "It's too late. We've already gone." And it's not because I don't want you to submit them. It's just, hey, the day is now. So we're going to have to come up with a process. And I'll tell you this, we had multiple people submitting the fight of the week this week. So it's not for lack of trying. It's just, please keep in mind, sooner the better. As soon as you see a fight, send it to myself and Tim. And, you know, we can put it in for consideration. But it's the same way it works when I used to submit jokes for late night. You submit the best, and the best joke wins. So we will always pick what we deem to be the best fight. And this one, Tim, you found this one. And is there anything we need to know about this particular fight or this particular scene that you found for us here today, sir?
Yes. It's a little bit not a traditional fight compared to the last, fight videos that we've had on the show. It looks like it was within reason of a potential. I think it's a rugby match. That's what it looks like to me. It's short. It is jam-packed with treasure nuggets galore. And there's so many things happening. As soon as you see something, you're like, and then that happened, and then that happened, and now they're doing this. It's just one after the next. I couldn't resist. And I think I sent you the video. It plays regular speed, and then immediately it goes to a slow motion review because it's just too good to not watch that way.
So before I cut to this as well, is there any notes that you want to say about this over the other submissions that we
Oh.
received over the week, sir?
Yeah, the other one, the Raf is right. So once the board gets cut and the videos are selected, it's like, can't get that one. The other one was fantastic, though. And like Raf said, I encourage you to get those videos in ASAP, because the sooner you get them in, the sooner we can look at them. And then we can make a selection. So thank you very much. That was a dope one. Looked like a fight at a Raiders game, which big surprise. But but we had already grabbed this one. But thank you for that. Keep them coming. We will definitely shoot them out there in the future.
And I think we had 2 different football ones. So shout out to the Daily Stack. Shout out to Brian. I think you guys sent different variations of different NFL fights. And I should tell you this. Maybe when we come up with a judging criteria of which one speaks to us, we'll start doing this like they won the Academy Award. That's like,
oh, that'd be so great.
You know, this nominee won because it just wanted it more. So this fight in particular, insane. Tim, I'm going to put this up here and I'm going to let you narrate it, sir.
Okay, so we got a rugby. Boom! Blast. Big splash. Homie pats him up. Teammate walks by, shakes his head, and then he gets resurrected. So look at the hit. A gigantic hit. Now, totally unnecessary. He launches himself. Look at, and splashes the dude. Full contact. His buddy comes in, claps him up. Here comes this goon right here. Look at the goon right here coming in. He's going to bump him up. He's just looking at him. He's like, what do I do? Now, teammate's walking by with the yellowish orange hat, and he just shakes his head right here. And as he shakes his head, Jesus comes into the scene and resurrects the dude.
So let me kind of tell you why I was good with this one and you picking this one. First off, you're right. It does go past the regular definition of what we consider a fight. I just felt like it was a little sad in the sense that one person didn't really get to fight back. Having said that, I want to give you my interpretation of what I saw here. All right, here we go. Let's start with this. I want to go back even further. Let's legitimately look at it from the first second. Because when I see this here, not only does he land it, but the slow motion helps us. He gets it, he gets clocked, and then he does the ultimate warrior splash on him. Like, legitimately just look at this. Belly flops onto him. Now, the boy who's clapping behind him is a great hype man for a number of reasons. But for him to come in a clutch moment and say, like, that's my guy, that's my dude. It's one thing to say that for the hit, but I think it was for the stinger splash on the floor.
Yes.
Like, there's a frog splash. That's a tadpole splash. And when he hits it, the best part is there's no pretense. It's literally like no knees to chest. It's just and womp. So when he falls down on him, some people in our country might call that unnecessary roughness. The dude who's clearly clapping for him says, nah, that was fair. That was good. And yeah, you're right. The dude with the Kermit headgear behind.
He just shakes his head.
He's just like, just another day at the office. Hate to see it. God damn. And no one here has the wherewithal to think this is bad for business. Like, this play has been done for the last 10 minutes. And that dude is clearly knocked out on the floor. And yeah, you're talking about the dude behind him then looking over and going, yeah. And then, wait, I didn't even notice the back touch that happens between these two.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my God. The fact that he goes behind him to just be like, hey, bro, is that you behind there? Like, he goes back to touch him like a person who's blind. Like, just try to figure out my distance here. That's you? Yep. Familiar body, familiar face.
Oh, so, mullet man got this. This had to be like Italians versus mullets or something. This is so. Oh my.
Anyway, I just feel like this is one of those things where you look at it, you kind of feel a certain way. And then again, watch this. Yep. He's going to touch him. And maybe if he had been just a slight bit off, that would have been in an inappropriate area.
Yeah.
But because he had no eyes on it, everybody's just in the moment. It's just one of those, yeah, dude, you did that shit. So congratulations to you. It is out of the norm, but it does go to show you a good shoulder placement will really, really win against all. I have to tell you, Tim, when you brought that to my attention, I was like, that's a 3-second. Yeah, we got it. Yeah, that's fine. And you were wise to bring it up for this reason. Okay. Look at everybody here. Nobody is rushing to this except for one person.
Nobody did anything.
Nobody is phased. Everybody has other stuff to do. There's one dude in the back who's doing the scream. And yeah, he's the only one who's processing this like a real human being. Everybody else has an abnormal reaction to it in that they just go,
you know what? I think I figured it out.
What's that?
I think the guy that got hit is hated by everyone on the field, even his own teammates. The only one that didn't hate him was Rugby Jesus, because he floated right into the end of the scene, did a hover hand, and dude just popped up. The guy's own teammate, Kermit Head, walked right by him and just shook his head like, no, not my problem.
Well, look at this, dude. The only dude that comes up to help is, what is this? The goalie who's coming over running like it's a Baywatch scene and just trying to help out his boy. Now, Jason very appropriately says this and says that head snapback hurt my soul. Got news for you, bud. Hurt more than his soul. And I think it's the posturing afterwards. It's literally getting back up on all fours where you go like, yeah, dude, there's no getting back from that. These are embarrassing moments. Can you imagine if he stepped back and accidentally hit Kermit Head with that like reach back on the arm? Like, what would Kermit Head have even done? Because he didn't look like he wanted to do shit. It was just, I'm just going to express my disappointment in everybody.
Yeah, that is insane.
So
it's insane, dude.
There is that. But I would tell you this, though, Tim. Whenever we see these things, I have a slight moment of, is this dude okay? There is no epilogue here, people. I do not know if he's okay. But I can tell you he is somebody participating in rugby. And I, like, when people tell me all the time, they're like, oh, rugby, it's so much safer. You're fine. I look at something like that and I go, you know what? I played football. I'm glad I got out when I did. I'm pretty good. I needed to keep all this intact.
Yeah, rugby. Those dudes are nuts. The guy that hit him wasn't wearing a cap either. He just was like, I don't care. Neither of them were. Crazy.
Yeah. So there is that. Let's do this. Let us go through and do a final little recap here, sir. I'm going to go ahead and throw to you, and I'm going to let you go ahead and close out and tell people where you can find you, sir.
Hey, what's up? You could find me at Inside BJJ on all of your favorite social media platforms and outlets. If you want to check us out on YouTube, Inside BJJ, you could watch all the podcasts and all that stuff. If you want to subscribe to our Patreon, go to insidebjj.com/Patreon. It's just a bunch of weird stuff that I like to do. And that's what you're going to get. And you should subscribe because you're going to see a lot of cool, weird stuff. Outside of that, I won't be in Nashville this weekend for the qualifier. So if you come out, make sure you sabotage KEVIN SHERRILL. He's trying to take my job. Not cool. I want to remind you of what Tanya Harding did to Nancy Kerrigan when she tried to take her job. Just saying. Outside of that, I'm stoked to be back, Raf. It's awesome to see you. I'm looking forward to PGF7 and all the other cool stuff we got lined up, man.
Can I just say, we need to be very clear about this whole concept of taking somebody's job, because whenever we talk about the idea of taking somebody's job here, it's not what I think the guys think it is. Like, it's one thing to say I'm trying to replace you or I'm coming for this. Like, at no part in coming for somebody's job is the same thing as coming for your academy. Like, just say you're coming for the academy, because then I understand it a little bit more. Like, he's already on the broadcast team. So I thought he was assuming, like, he wants to control the board.
Yeah, he wants it all.
He wants the editorial aspect of the board. Well, I mean, it might hurt a little bit to do the work, because he could do more than one topic a week if he wants responsibility of the board. Other than that, he's coming for your academy, sir. And I think there's some people who don't understand that a lot of us on a bad day, and I don't even own a gym, would be like, okay, the gym's yours. I still own it, but you could have it the day to day. You're the owner and operator. Congrats.
Yes. If you want to take on my American Express card as well for the academy, you can have that too, Kevin. You get it all. You get all of it. You get all of it. So.
You know what it is? Is it somebody who goes to the chocolate factory and has no idea that Willy Wonka's like, God, I'm waiting for you to take this debt. Oh man, you have no idea how much the chocolate factory is in for. Oh my God. I did not go over the financials for the chocolate factory with you. Also, the Oompa Loompas union, not happy with you right now. So there is that. All right, Tim, I'm going to say bye to you off air in a second here. But my thanks to you. And again, Tim, way to do an excellent job this weekend. From start to finish, an excellent addition to the Subversive team. I'm so happy to have you on board. And for those of you who are wondering, yes, there is going to be another Subversive. That's going to be November 22nd. So the order of operations for us is going to go PGF that week of November 3rd through the 8th. And then I get a short reprieve, and then it's back to business for Subversive Fight Club. And that is going to be taking place in Rancho Cucamonga. There's going to be some more details coming very soon about that. But Tim, excellent work. I'm very happy with all the stuff that you did. And it was great just hanging out and getting to work with you again, sir.
Awesome, man. It was an awesome time. Thank you for going to bat for me, man. I appreciate it.
Always, sir. You deserve it. All right, you guys. Let's do this before we circle on out of here. Thank you so much. Like, comment, subscribe, not just my page here at the Grappling Hour, also at Inside BJJ. We want to support our friends. You can also do us follows. You can find me at the Grappling Hour. You can always send me notes. You can always send me entertainment and things that you are enjoying. I don't mind that. You can also go and give us some love on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/Grappling Hour. Every bit of support you guys give me on there buys me something that goes directly into the show. For example, I just bought some new lavaliers that plug into my wireless Go's, so that way I can do more content where I go out and talk with people. We want to do more interviews in non-traditional places in the near future, and even some stuff where we're training on the mats with some of our guests. So look out for those things. Last couple of reminders, you can also, in addition to like, comment, and subscribing, if you haven't seen Subversive yet, there are some great matches. I would highly suggest that you guys go check those out. You can also find us on every single platform. That's Apple Podcasts and Spotify for your boy here over at the Grappling Hour. And you can find us on Twitch at Grappling Hour and on Discord at Grappling Hour. Ladies and gents, that's going to do it for us. Thank you for an incredible week. It was so incredibly fun to put on a great event for you at Subversive, and I hope that you guys liked it, and I can't wait to do more. So for right now, it has been a great day for grappling. We'll see you back on the mats.
10,000 hours is a steep mountain to climb to become a master, especially when the task at hand puts a relentless demand on your body. There is nothing casual about this sport. It's all in, all effort, all focus. It takes a lot from you, but the reward is unmatched. Mastery of oneself, an acute understanding of your weaknesses with an explosive sense of your strengths. Being able to complete the climb to mastery requires the proper nutrition. This is why it's important to take in a potent blend of electrolytes that is in tune with your output and brings strength to your goals. This potent blend is only found in salt electrolytes. Salt targets your depleted electrolyte levels with a boost of hydration and health. It gives your body the baseline recovery it needs.
what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another installment of the Bullpen. Kev, we got a huge board. Why don't we get straight to it right now? Go ahead and lead us off.
Yeah, thanks, Raf. Today we're talking about the clean aesthetic of gold BJJ. They're phenomenal streetwear they've got. It's not just training gear, guys. You can get streetwear. Raf, are these all gold BJJ? All of these cards are gold BJJ?
Yep, just read the script like we talked about.
Yeah, you're right. They've got a variety of styles. They have a bag. It's phenomenal competition gear. You can bring it with. You can throw it in the wash. Raf, these are really cool. Are any of these for me? Like that bag?
No. They didn't have any stuff for you. They ran out of your
Well,
sizes.
they're really affordable if you need to go out there and get them. You can just get the stuff, goldbjj.com.
These shorts are awesome. I'm going to get this. Wait. Oh, this
Do they have a second set for me? Is that a thing they have?
They were like, hey, man, we ran out of stuff, and they didn't have it in your size because like fat. You know what I mean? So, like, these are all for like me. Anyway, go visit our friends at goldbjj.com.